नमश्रेति राजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे. Respected dignitaries present here, Arunima Sinha, all the other dignitaries present here, and dear friends, it's a great pleasure meeting you all. It's always a pleasure to talk to the enlightened audience of AMA. As you know, Swami Vivekananda's 150th birth anniversary celebration have been going on for last 4 years. In fact, we wanted to close it on 12 January. In fact, we had the concluding celebration at our headquarters in Bellumat in the last week of January. But so many programs have been started and so many schemes have been started that now it is taking time for us to close it. As you know, Swami Vivekananda was born on 12 January 1863. So we wanted Swami Vivekananda's 150th birth anniversary from 2013 to 2014. But when the Central Committee was formed with the Prime Minister of India at that time, the chairman, 9 chief ministers as the members and so many other 65 members, the committee thought that the life and message of Swami Vivekananda is so relevant for the nation today, particularly for the youths, that some of the celebrations should start, some of the schemes meant for poor people and value education programs, they should start from 2010 itself. And so, from 2010, the program started. We wanted to end it in 2014, 12 January, but some of the other concluding celebrations were there in the last week of January. And now it is taking time for us to wind up the matter. And it seems by 12 January 2015, we shall be possibly, hopefully, out of that. So 5 years program it has become. For the first time in the world history, that a great person's 150th birth anniversary is celebrated for 5 years. Swami Vivekananda is a global leader for a global civilization. Not only in India, this celebration was going on all over the world. Last year, we had an international youth conference, 10th and 11th of August 2013. The Director General of UNESCO could not come. So she sent a video message which was shown to the participants. And there she told that Swami Vivekananda is not only leader of India, but he is the leader of the whole world. And so UNESCO is conducting many programs, not only in UNESCO headquarters in Paris, but in many other countries. So, and because his message is relevant for the modern world and for the whole world. We are talking about globalization. Globalization has come to stay, at least on economic front. But where is the global peace? Global peace cannot come till there is a global civilization. And the global civilization cannot come till there are global leaders who are acceptable to all people of all religions, of all creeds, of all nations, of all societies. And what do we find in Swami Vivekananda? He is acceptable to all. In fact, when they made a list of the great personalities of America, the great 50 persons who molded New America, one of the names was Swami Vivekananda in America. A great historian, A.L. Basham, one of the greatest historians of our times, A.L. Basham, who wrote the book, The Wonder That Is India. During the centenary of Swami Vivekananda in 1963, he said, only after 100 years, it is very difficult to evaluate the importance of Swami Vivekananda in the scale of history, because he is too near the history, he is too near to us. Perhaps the future generations will be able to understand him better. And after 150 years also, we can say the same thing. It is too early to evaluate the importance of Swami Vivekananda. Perhaps the future generation will be able to understand him better. Because he is a global leader for a global civilization, not for 100 years or 200 years. On 4 July 1902, Swami Vivekananda left his body, entered into Mahasamadhi. Few days earlier, he told, when I'll give up my body, cremate me here, by the side of the Ganges under a tree. And the same spot, his body was cremated. Now there stands a beautiful small temple of Swami Vivekananda there. If you go to visit Belumat, you can see that. So the disciple asked, the Western disciple, Swami, why do you want to give up your body so quickly? It's only 39 years. Swami Vivekananda replied, well, I have done enough for next 1500 years. I have done my quota of work. I have done enough. Many people ask me, why did Swamiji give up his body so quickly? Because he had received Ichha Mrityu. He could die as per his wish when he went to Lord Amarnath. He had a boon from Lord Amarnath. Amarnath gave him darshan and he got a boon from Shiva that whenever he wants, he will give up the body. And he chose 4 July because he loved America. He loved the independence of America. He loved the independence of humanity. And so he chose 4 July to get liberated from his body. And that was a great liberation. But he meant, what he said was, he meant it, that he had done enough for next 1500 years. So we are too near the history to understand his importance. But the true tribute to Swami Vivekananda can be paid if only we can work out his plans. And what was his ideal? Swami Vivekananda, very difficult, 9 volumes of complete verse of Swami Vivekananda, very difficult to summarize the whole message. But fortunately, he himself summarized the message. He wrote to Sister Nivedita, my ideal indeed can be put into a few brief words. That is to preach unto mankind their divinity within and how to make it manifest in every moment of life. So that is the message Swami Vivekananda gave. All these are details. And that is what, and not only that he told like this, but he was not only a visionary, he was also a missionary. He practiced servant leadership and he was not only visionary, he was a missionary. And so he wrote to Miss Mary Hall from Almora in 1997, 11 July. My dear Mary, I had to talk a lot about myself because I owed that to you. Now I feel my task is done. At the most 3 or 4 years of life is left behind. I never wanted earthly enjoyments. I have lost all wish for my salvation. I must see my machine in strong working order and knowing for certain that I have put in a lever for the good of humanity, which no power can yet drive back. At least in India, I will sleep without caring what will be next. And may I be born again and again and suffer thousands of miseries so that I may worship the only God that exists, the only God that I believe in, the sum total of all souls, and above all, my God the wicked, my God the miserable, my God the poor of all races, of all species, is the special object of my worship. It is for worship of this special object of worship that Ramakrishna Mission was started by Swami Vivekananda in 1897. Today we have 178 branches spread all over the world, 40 abroad, 138 in India, 4 in Gujarat, Rajkot, Limdi, Porbandar, and Vadodara. Apart from this, we have more than 1,000 centers which are not affiliated directly, out of which 20 are in Gujarat. In the whole country, there are 1,000, 20 are in Gujarat, out of which we have a center in Ahmedabad, in Vastrapur, near Vastrapur Lake, Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center, Kalyan Tower, 2nd floor, just near Kalyan Haveli. There is a Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center. Every day we have a prayer and we have some celebrations. Now, but we are going to have expansion of these activities. And in fact, many people are asking why we don't have a center in Ahmedabad or Gandhinagar and you have a center in Baroda. That is because Baroda, Limdi and Porbandar, why did they give preference? Because these are all the 3 places where Swami Vivekananda himself stayed, and those bungalows were handed over to us. In Limdi, the palace was handed over by the Rajmata, and Bhojeshwar bungalow was handed over by government of Gujarat in 1997, and the historic Dilaram bungalow, in which Swami Vivekananda himself stayed as the guest of the then Diwan Manibhai Jajbai in 1892, was handed over by the government of Gujarat on 18th April 2005. Sri Narendra Modi himself came and handed over. Since that time, we have a memorial, we have an official center of Ramakrishna Mission. This particular program is being jointly organized by AMA and Ramakrishna Mission Vadodara. And one of the important reasons was that the Ahmedabad people should feel why there should not be an official center of Ahmedabad. So I can tell you in secret that we are trying our best to have an official center of Ahmedabad. Only one thing is coming on the way is land. Once we get the land, we will start an official center of Ramakrishna Mission, and then from Vadodara we will not have to come here all the way to Ahmedabad. I wish and pray, and maybe with Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna Sarada Devi's wish, this wish will come true. But this particular program, why we made this program? Because we had taken up many programs as a part of 150th birth anniversary. One of the important programs was the government of India was very much anxious about the modern youth. Many of the youngsters are committing suicide. They are becoming prey of frustration, depression for small problems. For great problems we can understand. For small petty reason, commit suicide. For small petty reason, go into depression. So they have lost. They are very energetic, very intelligent, highly ambitious. But at the same time, they break down at the smallest failure, they just break down. So there is something basically wrong that is missing in our education system. So that is why we thought what they need is counseling, and what they need is positive thinking. So on an experimental basis, 10 centers have been started in this country on a pilot project. It is a pilot project, and if that works, the government of India may do it in a big way. But just now, the pilot project, one of the 10 centers that have been selected by our Belumat headquarters for this project is Vadodara. So in many colleges, we are opening centers, Vivekananda Center of Positive Thinking and Counseling. But we thought in Ahmedabad also people should come to know what is this all center about. So we have this seminar on positive thinking and youth counseling. And this is based on this premises that the youngsters need counseling, number one. And that is why youth counseling center is needed. Second, this counseling is not needed if positive thinking comes. All the problems are because there is negative thinking. Once the positive thinking comes, the negative thinking will go. Negative thinking goes, frustration goes, depression goes, everything goes. And so this is based on the premises that prevention is better than cure. And so that is why we have organized this program. But there are so many programs going on positive thinking. So we thought we should have a separate type of program. Instead of giving the theory, what is positive thinking all about, how to give it a shape in our own life, how can we practice those values so that we can have positive thinking and all that. The best thing is to have a demonstration model. And that is why we have Arunima Sinha here amidst us to demonstrate, practically demonstrate. What is positive thinking? Half glass is full of milk, half glass is empty. You know this example. So NMA, negative mental will say the glass is half empty. And the PMA will say glass is half full. And when you try to tell them that you see this is positive mental attitude, that glass is half full. But then they will count those who are full of negative thinking, they will say, oh, glass is half full is okay, but if glass is empty, what to do? I said, then in that case, think that at least the glass is there. And if the glass is not there, I say you bless your stars that there is no need for keeping the glass every day and washing it. Always there is a better way of thinking, and always there is a positive thinking. So positive thinking does not start with half a glass. It may start with 0 glass also. From where do you want? So when to Socrates some young man came and he said he was frustrated, and he said, I want to commit suicide. Why? I have lost my job, I am not getting the job. He said, then what you do? You sell your assets. You sell your assets, and then you can live on that for some time, and I don't have any asset. You don't have any asset? No, that is why I am thinking of suicide. I have already sold my house, sold my shop, nothing to do. Yes, our only solution is commit suicide. Then Socrates said, then okay, you are not having any asset? No, I don't have any asset. Then you do one thing, you cut your one leg and give it to me, I will give you 1 lakh rupees. What? What are you talking about? Why should I cut my leg? No, 1 lakh rupees I will give you. I am not going to give 1 lakh. Okay, then you give me one hand, I will give you 2 lakh rupees. No, I can't give you hand. Okay, then you give me your year, I'll give you 3 lakh rupees. What are you all talking about? I can't give anything. I said, if you total up whatever lakhs of rupees I can give you, you are already a millionaire. So whenever you have negative thinking, think, I may not have job, I may not have an asset, but I have 2 legs, I have 2 hands, I have 2 eyes and 2 ears. But supposing there is only 1 leg, in that case, the positive thinking is, I have lost 1 leg, okay, but I have got 1 leg. 1 leg is with me. With that leg, I will conquer Mount Everest and have a world record. And that is positive thinking. And that is the demonstration model here. She will be giving her story. I don't want to come between you and her, but I want to give you the whole gist, so that, because when she will start, you will lose yourself. You will not be able to go to the facts. On 11th April 2011, she started by Padmavati Express from Lucknow to Delhi for giving an examination of CISF. At midnight, 4 dacoits came with gun. They started snatching away the things from all the passengers. It was a general compartment. But she was already a national volleyball champion, and from the childhood she is very bold. So she started fighting with 4 dacoits alone. Now 4 dacoits thought, by seeing her courage, all the other passengers will also get courage, and then we will have to return all the things. So they just lifted her up and threw up out of the train. From another parallel track, another train was coming. She collided with that train and bounced back here, and her 1 leg was cut, left leg was cut below the knee. Then she could not lift herself up. She was lying between the 2 tracks. Whole night she screamed, she cried, blood coming out, and she was so near the one of the tracks that she had to take care that her hand does not get crushed by the train. 49 trains passed by her body. Whole night she cried. Nobody came to her rescue. And then next day morning, some villager came, put her into the gunny bag, took to the nearest station. From there, she was taken to Bareilly. In the civil hospital, when she was taken there, the doctors started talking about this, says, this girl is going to die, because already she has developed gangrene, infected leg, already the left leg was hanging, and so we can't save her. By that time, some sort of sense had come to her. She heard this from the doctors. Then she loudly cried, no, I want to live. Okay, if you don't have anesthesia, you carry out operation without anesthesia. And the doctors carried out, amputated her leg. 2.5 hours the operation went on without anesthesia. She bore all that pain. Then she was shifted to Lucknow, and from there to AIIMS. There at AIIMS she was for 4 months, and now the politics started coming, and the media people and all that came, and there was an allegation on her that actually there were no dacoits. In order to protect the dacoit, the police department and all that, they told no, Arunima was not, there was no dacoits. Arunima was not having ticket, and that is why she jumped from the train after seeing the TT, and that's why this accident happened. Then afterwards, Arunima produced the ticket by which she had gone there. Fortunately, the ticket was preserved. And also the TT said that day Ramnavami was there, so I was not present. Now, then they have to find out, they have to manufacture another thing. They said her brother pushed her out of the compartment. Her brother said, I was at that time on Lucknow. He produced the proof that I was not there in the train, I was in Lucknow. Now they said, oh, she was trying to commit suicide. That is why she jumped from the train, and that is how her leg was gone. All this produced tremendous reaction in her. She was on the hospital, and from the media, all these types of things are coming. At that time, she was at the bottommost part of depression and frustration, and she was feeling so helpless. And then suddenly she heard the voice of her own inner self. Arunima, nothing is going to happen by your weeping. It is going to increase the confidence of other party. The only way you can give them a fitting answer is by having some extraordinary achievement and telling them that I am not going to be cowed down and there is no use weeping. So she left weeping. Now what to do? At that time some newspaper came and she came to know some people are going to Mount Everest. Suddenly the idea entered, why not go to Mount Everest? Just as an idea. And her brother-in-law, he supported her. Mother of course was very much in defense. No, why should you go to Mount Everest? Already you lost one leg. And why should you try for impossible? You go to some small forest, small mountain. Why Mount Everest? But she said, no. Then in that afterwards, her brother-in-law supported. When she was discharged from the AIIMS hospital, do you know what did she do? I'm telling you how to implement positive thinking in your life, a practical demonstration. That is why I'm giving the details. Do you know what did she do? She did not go to Lucknow to meet her mother. She was waiting there for 4 months. She went to the railway station, Delhi railway station, and from there she took the train to Tata Nagar to meet Bachendri Pal, who was the first woman to go to Mount Everest, and to take training, tips from her. And when Bachendri Pal saw her, what, Arunima? You were in the hospital today, yesterday you were in the hospital, you are here within 2 days? You did not go to house? No. Then she said, I want to go to Mount Everest. And then Bachendri Pal, she was amazed. What are you talking? You are not able to stand. You are standing with your brother with the hand on shoulders. One leg is already gone. There is a plastic leg there. Another leg there is fracture. There are rods. And you are talking about going to Mount Everest? Are you in senses? Yes, madam, I want to go. By your telling is not do. You have to prove it. Madam, I will prove it. You have to go to training center and you have to take training of mountaineering because you have never done mountaineering. She said, I will take the mountaineering. She was sent to the training center. Can you imagine? For 2 years, consecutive 2 years, she was in that mountaineering training center in Uttarkashi. Not for a single day she went to Lucknow to meet her mom or nothing, nowhere. That is why she was given the title Tata Ki Sherni. That was the title given to her, Tata Ki Sherni. Because Tata had sponsored that training. And then the Tatas, after seeing her this one, she went to 20,000 feet high. She conquered 20,000 feet. And then she was preparing for going to Mount Everest. It is at this juncture that she came to me on 23rd January. She came to Baroda for giving some motivational talk for mountaineering. Somebody, those who had organized this program, they told me, Swamiji, please come to chair the session. Now, you know, we don't have TV in ashrama. And I don't know Arunima also, because we don't see TV and we don't get this news and all that. What is Arunima? Who is Arunima? I don't want to go. I have got a lot of work. If Arunima wants, then let her come here. We will give prasad, we will give some books, let her meditate here and let her get energy. So they brought Arunima. Arunima went to meditation room where Swamiji had stayed. Then she met me and said, Swamiji, I felt so much nice in the meditation room. I got a lot of energized. I said, okay, very good. Then I gave her the photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda. This is the photograph I gave to her. Very small photograph. She said, I want blessing. I said, blessing you will get from these 3, but I can give you best wishes for your Mount Everest. But whenever you are in distress, you are in problem, just pray to them. And keep this photo with you and keep the photo there at Mount Everest. So she took this as a challenge that I have to take this photo to Mount Everest. Apart from Indian flag, now another second challenge has come. This photograph has to go to Mount Everest. She took that challenge. I gave her some books of Swami Vivekananda. She had not read many books by that time. Her father was fond of Swami Vivekananda's books. So in childhood she had learnt few thoughts. Even now she has not read many books, I can tell you. I have been after her, but she is so busy. Every day she is going to IIM Indo, IIM Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad also she came, IIT Kanpur. Every day she is going to big companies. She has become a motivational speaker, big motivational speaker. So, she doesn't get time, but she keeps always one small book of Swami Vivekananda during the travels, in flights, or when she is in airport. She reads the book, but she doesn't get much time. But she has digested the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, though she has not read. So I gave her some books of Swami Vivekananda, and she took these books right up to the base camp, Mount Everest, and she was always in touch with me. One fine morning she telephoned, Swamiji, problem ho gaya. She used to telephone now and then, kya problem ho gaya? You see, my artificial leg from 2 years has worn out, so I was thinking I should have a extra leg which I should carry. Yes, I think you must. I said you must carry. Don't take any risk, because with the leg only you are going to climb. But she said, I don't have money. Tata's. I said, what about Tata? They have given 70 lakhs rupees. They said, we don't have any provision for leg. I said, what you are talking about? 70,000 rupees Tata cannot give. Then I said, don't worry. Your going to Mount Everest will not stop because of lack of money. Then I immediately contacted a few of her devotees and transferred 70,000 rupees to her account, and she felt very confident. She said, okay, now I'm feeling confident. I've got a new plastic leg. Up to the base camp, we were in touch. Then we lost the touch. Then I came to know that on 21st May 2013, she has climbed Mount Everest and broken the world record. First female amputee of the world. First female amputee of the world to go to Mount Everest with only one leg. She did that on 21st May. But before that, there were some anxious moments. 1,000 feet away, when there was red light in the oxygen cylinder, and the Sherpa told, immediately come back. She said, what? I am seeing the summit now. I will not come back. Then the Sherpa telephoned, with walkie-talkie, gave the message to the Nepal, this agency. This girl is going to die. I am not going to take risk. And the Nepal agency also gave walkie-talkie. No, you must come back. Without oxygen, you can't survive that height. But she had her mind that I have to take this photo there, and I have to take the Indian flag. Then she calculated, at least I have got enough oxygen to put the flag of my nation there on the summit, and then I will die. With this calculated risk, she started walking without Sherpa. Afterwards, the Sherpa, he had no other alternative. He said, you are going to die and you will put me to trouble, but what to do? I can't leave you like that. So he followed. She went there, put the Indian flag there on summit, and she took at that time, you can imagine a girl's, how much one can be courageous. Ordinary looking girl, how can she be courageous? You can imagine, she's dying, there's no oxygen cylinder, and yet at that time, she's taking out the camera and taking the video. And the Sherpa is saying, what are you doing? You are dying and taking the video. Then she told, I want to, please, I am taking this 2 minutes video because I may not be alive. So you send this video when I die. You send this video to India when I die. I want to motivate the Indian youth. In that, she has given the message. That video is also available with us. In that, she gives the message. I want to give the message to the Indian youth. Do not give up your goal. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Same message she has given. Do not stop till you have reached the goal. Even if you have to die, at the cost of death, reach your goal. As I have reached my goal, though I am dying. Though that message I want to give to the Indian youth. Don't give up your goal till you die. She practically demonstrated it, and afterwards she started worshipping that photograph of this photograph that I have seen, Sri Ramakrishna, Sarada Devi and Swami Vivekananda. Sherpa was very much angry. You are dying, no oxygen, and you still are delaying the whole thing. But she said, no, this is my energy capsule. This energy capsule has given me energy throughout my journey, and I must give the thank. And I have promised to Swamiji that I have to put there. So she put worship and kept the photograph there for good, and she started coming back. Within 5 minutes, there was a miracle. She found one oxygen cylinder and she survived. How? One Englishman was carrying 2 cylinders. Now she was late in reaching there to Mount Everest because she had only one leg and the leg was coming out and so many types of problems came. You will listen from her. So what happened? That because of these problems, she went that at 10:55 only she reached the summit. After 11 o'clock is considered a suicidal attempt, Mount Everest, because the whole climate becomes so bad, minus 60 degrees Celsius temperature, and there is a snowfall and the breeze going at 230 kilometer speed. So nobody can go. Now this Englishman saw that weather has completely gone, very bad. So he cannot go there because otherwise he will die. So he left his attempt of going up. He was carrying 2 salt cylinders. Now since he was not going up, he doesn't need to, it was very heavy. So he dropped 1 cylinder. And the Sherpa saw that and he brought that cylinder and gave it to Arunima, and that is how Arunima was saved. And she came back, and you must have heard the shloka in the Gita Mahatma, you must have heard the shloka. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langhayate girim, yat rupa tamaham vande, parmanand madhavam. Do you have any doubt about this shloka? Look at Arunima Sinha, practical demonstration of that. If you have any doubt. Why? Because of her self-confidence and because of the grace of God, not that she has come back, not that she has conquered, not ordinary mountain, Mount Everest, there is nothing greater than that. She could cross that. Pangum langhayate girim. A lame lady has gone to Mount Everest, not an ordinary mountain. Not only that, she was not dumb, but she was almost dumb. She never gave any motivational talk, and now she is giving motivational talk all over the country, going to IIM. She has not done anything in IIM, but she is going as a teacher to IIM without going for IIM. IIM, Ahmedabad she went, IIM, Calcutta she went, IIT Kanpur she went, so many education institutions she is going, and so many big companies are inviting her because she has taken up the now pledge. What is her next mission? Swami Vivekananda said, go forward, go forward. She is going forward. She said, there are so many Arunimas like me who are not going forward because of lack of facilities. So she wants to create an international academy for them, for which she is taking money from the companies. Companies are giving her charges for motivational talk, and she is collecting fund for her international academy. 16 crore project. Today she said now she has increased. It has gone to 25 crore project. Already she has purchased the land near Lucknow. And she has many more things, but she will say what are her plans and dreams and all that. I don't want to come between you and her. When she talks, then all of you will be dumb. But this is the practical demonstration. Swami Vivekananda said, faith, faith, faith in ourselves, faith in God. This is the secret of greatness. Impossible becomes possible if you have got 2 types of faith. She has got both the types of faith. She has faith in herself and she has faith in God. And so impossible has become possible. And here is the practical demonstration of that teaching of Swami Vivekananda. So I will not come between you and Arunima. She will tell you experiences. How did she feel when she was on top of the Mount Everest? What are the difficulties she experienced? What was her feeling when she was lying between the 2 tracks? What was her feeling when she saw so many dead bodies during Mount Everest, going to Mount Everest? What was her feeling when she was on top of the Mount Everest? And what was her feeling after coming back? All those things in detail will be told by Arunima Sinha. That is our first session. Then we will have tea break. During tea break, you will write down your problems. Of course, with positive thinking, all the problems are solved. So in any case, whatever problems you are facing, you can write down in slips of paper without writing your name, because otherwise people will come to know your private problem. So if you want to write, you write. Otherwise, you don't want to write your name, doesn't matter. But you write down your problems. These problems will be replied by me. And if you want some replies from Arunima, you can also write questions to Arunima. She will also reply some questions, and I will try to answer your problem. That will be a group counseling session. That is what we say. We have 2 types of session. First is a motivational talk on positive thinking. But here I am not giving any motivational talk on positive thinking, because she is there as a practical demonstration of positive thinking. And after her talk, there will be tea break. and then we will have second session of good counseling. So now I will request Arunima to give her feelings. Whatever I have told, she will give in detail. Okay, Arunima, please come.